Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is really what we've seen in the last 2+ weeks, which is the banking crisis, right? So this banking crisis created, number one, if there's ever a reason to have something like a Bitcoin, the banking crisis proved it, right? So I love that from my long-term bullish perspective on Bitcoin and how I've believed in it for years as the digital gold. This just proved its point, right? The fact that banks are failing, fiat currency, bailouts, whatever you want to call it, and you have Bitcoin. And I think the beautiful thing about it is we've seen money flow from bank stocks and banks themselves going into Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, it hasn't been so much into the alts. If you look at the chart, in fact, let's jump right into the charts. I know that's what we love to do, but you could see this is your Bitcoin chart, right? So you can clearly see since that banking crisis started, you just ripped up in Bitcoin. And if you look at some of the other ones, like notice how Bitcoin's hitting a new high here over the last couple of days. But if you look at something like Solana, it's clearly has had a bounce, but it's not taking out the recent highs. So what that tells me is this is a run for what we call safety, which is in the crypto world, safety is Ethereum and Bitcoin, right? It's the safest cryptocurrencies out there, the least volatile if there is such a thing. And so that's kind of a cool thing because again, if you think about gold as gold, the digital gold as Bitcoin, that's exactly its purpose. It's serving its purpose by seeing money flow moving into there. Now, having said that, if we go to Bitcoin again, my big question is we're up against the most monumental resistance level in the chart. Okay, so again, we've had resistance levels on the way up. We know that this was a resistance level right here. You can see we hammered it here and we fell back. But ultimately, this one is the most significant between 28,500 and about 30,500. This area to me is the biggest within this chart. And that's going all the way back to these highs. The reason it's the most significant is because it happens to be the mid-cycle bull low. So if we look at the bull market here, the M pattern, this was your lowest point. You consolidated right there and you broke down. So it makes sense that if Bitcoin is going to be really tested here, and it is, this is the level that it has to be to prove itself. Essentially what I'm saying here is that for me to believe that a low is in and the bull market is back and the bear market is over, we need to clear through this level and we need to hold above it for, let's say, a week. If we can do that, then for me, the lows are in for the cycle and we have to buy pullbacks at that point.
Coinbase's former CTO, among others, has predicted that Bitcoin will reach $1 million as the dollar fades. But these doomsayers are ignoring other historical precedents. Hello and welcome to Money Talks. In today's video, founder and chief market strategist at InTheMoneyStocks.com and Verified Crypto Investing, Gareth Soloway updates about Bitcoin's current market standing, the next bull run in crypto, and his outlook for Bitcoin in 2023.
Yeah, for me, this move up has been a great move up, but it's unproven. It hasn't made me say, okay, we're no longer in a bear market. I mean, again, we've had a great rally, but if you look at that chart, we're still closer to the lows than the all-time highs on Bitcoin. And again, great move, but we're only at 28,000. We were at 69,000, so it's a good move from 15.6 or so to 28. We touched 29 yesterday, I believe. But yeah, it's unproven yet that it's really a new bull market. This, to me, would be that level if we can clear it. The reason why I want it to stay above is because there's lots of games being played around options expiration with Bitcoin and stuff like that, where you'll see it get above just to stop people out and get people long, and then they'll whip it back down. So I really want to see it stay above for like a good week. And then if that happens, you start to build a bull flag and potentially can go higher. Yeah, no, there definitely are some targets. In fact, we can jump back to the chart. One of the targets that I would look at would be a confluence of technicals, right? So if we do a Fibonacci retrace, what we can see, and we draw that fib from the 69 high, is number one, we're right at a 0.236 retrace right now. That's the level we're hammering on. What's fascinating is that we can see the 382 Fibonacci retrace is right around these lows right in here. So that would kind of draw my attention is when you have pivot points that match up with that fib. So it looks like 35.5 would be your next level after that. That would be quite a bit of resistance. And lastly, and I'll just, obviously there's levels all above, but one of the lines to also keep an eye on would then be this upsloping trend line here, where we hammered here, and then finally broke down, a retrace to that kind of pseudo head and shoulders, if you will, or just M-ish pattern, this level up here. So those would be my next two big targets, 35.5 and 43,000. Now, for me, just a reminder, folks, is if we do hold above 30,000 or 30,500, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden I'm going to go all in, right? Basically, what it means is that we'll still get pullbacks, but we buy into support now. We start really buying that support level. So, for instance, if we get above 30,500 and we go to 35.5, then when it pulls back to, let's say, 28, I'm a buyer there. I'm a net buyer. If we pull back to, down to 25,000, I'm a net buyer at those levels. So it kind of changes your mindset where I do swing trade on the long side. In fact, in my service, I've done long trades recently where we were playing this up move, but I'm very quick about it. I'm in and I'm out because overall I still view it as a bear market versus once we're in a bull, you let them run a little bit more. One thing to add, though, too, is that, again, there are issues that, and again, the charts are always right. So again, the charts are what the ultimate arbiter of truth or not is. But, just to mention a couple things, like I still have never experienced a low in any bear market where we've had so much bullish sentiment in an asset. And that's concerning to me. I mean, it's uncharted territory for me. I've been through the .com collapse. I've been through the, Great Recession collapse. I've been through oil bear markets, and really the first big move off of the lows, everyone's usually so scared. And by the way, this was the same way when we were in the bear market of 2018 into 2019. I still remember when we were at 10,000, even though we were up 200% off of the 3,500 low, people were still being like, no, this is too scary. Bitcoin's done. And you don't have that now. And that's kind of weird to me. And I don't know what to make of that, but it's one of those red flags that I'm just a little nervous about.
It has recently reached a fever pitch on crypto Twitter, thanks to venture capitalist and angel investor Balaji Srinivasan, saying he'd wager that Bitcoin will hit the $1 million mark within 90 days. The former Coinbase chief technology officer also predicted a U.S. banking crisis that would crash the dollar and spur hyperinflation, an excessively fast rise in the price of goods and services. The U.S. dollar, the de facto global reserve currency, has yet to suffer through this type of extreme devaluation.
Yeah, longer term, 100% a net positive. I mean, it just proves it again. And not only that, but just the reaction in Bitcoin, to see Bitcoin actually respond gives it validity to people that maybe were even questioning Bitcoin's relevance. Well, it's like, dude, look at the price action. Like, banks are dropping 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80%. They're failing, and Bitcoin was going up. So that really helps the long-term narrative. My bigger issue is that you're still seeing it, like when we saw the stock market today collapsing intraday. So there was this period where we were up a lot, and then all of a sudden we fell sharply before recovering at the end of the day. Bitcoin also fell during that period. So the bigger question for me is, if the stock market does have another 25% down or 30% down, how does Bitcoin navigate that with panic in risk assets? And again, you just see this kind of bleeding over where people are still selling Bitcoin and Ethereum. So again, that would be just one of those things. It's I don't necessarily believe, I mean, there might still be other blowups in the crypto sector as we're waiting for regulation. But for me, it's more now an asset that if the bigger economy slips into recession, and by the way, yesterday, huge day. We had the Federal Reserve basically saying, hey guys, rates going up 25 basis points. But the biggest takeaway was they said rates are going to stay high into 2024. So we're not going to get rate cuts unless there's like a catastrophic economic collapse, which would be bad anyways for risk assets. And the fact that rates are going to stay high for this long, it basically ensures that we're going to see a recession. So that means stock prices eventually have to come down. And the question is, can Bitcoin weather that storm during that period? Yeah, so for me, it's recognizing this range. So I do think there's a chance, especially the way Bitcoin's reacted the last couple of days where it's fallen and then kind of rebounded. That tells me that there's some buyers still there that want to push it. So you might get up to that 30,000-ish Pierce level. We know that even numbers have a tendency also to kind of want to be tagged. There's psychological levels. So for me, it's there might be a little bit more upside, but for me, until we get above that 30,500 and stay there, I'm actually shorting Bitcoin into that level. So again, for me, it's all about when a resistance level is there, I believe in it until proven otherwise, because it's resistance, right? I mean, so probabilities dictate there's more of a chance that it pulls back off of that level until it's proven otherwise. Same thing with supports. As long as you have a support there, you buy that support until it fails, essentially, right?
Yep. So, What are your thoughts about Gareth Soloway's prediction? Tell us in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon with the next video. Thank you so much for watching.